She got introduced
Hi, man. Hi, Jack.
about 1 o'clock.
Nice to
And
see
then
you.
she had at about 9:30. But everything's out there. Everything's out there. It's all good.
How long did you get to stay home with?
Quite a while. Thank you, Bart.
Yeah.
So, through the end of March, for sure.
Oh, wow.
And she can apply for extended. So, that's good. Anyway,
Good work for somebody that understands all that kind of stuff.
you're, Miss Van Hyde.
I do know.
Are you guys ready to get started? Everybody, if you come in, please. Anybody out in the lobby, if you want to come in, please. I just want to thank you first for coming. Remember, masks are required, and remember social distancing, please. My name is Jeff Carter. I'm the chairperson of the City Advertising and Promotion Commission. Heather and I are like a lot of you. We came, that's my wife, by the way. She hates this part. We're like a lot of you. We are transplants. We came to Eureka Springs for probably the same reason that you did, is it's unique, it's special. There's something about Eureka Springs that draws people in a way that we really can't even describe. If I went around and asked all of you about Eureka Springs, you would all have a different, unique value that you place on it, right? And so we're a town that's small and unique, 2,000 people, but we actually touch the state, the region, the United States, and we touch the world. You guys know that those of you that talk to guests every day, we've talked to guests from all over the world in the year and a half that we've been open. And so it's quite a unique situation, right? We are not like other places. And so when it came to a marketing partner, we needed a marketing partner that understood the uniqueness of us, that would listen to us, right? We couldn't just have any partner. We needed a partner that would take the time to come and do what these people have done, what Kristen and Sarah have done for the last 48 hours, which is
Monday at 2 p.m., but who's counting?
right, and take the time to invest in us in a way that we really needed. We're a destination city. We needed a marketing firm that focuses on destination travel. I personally believe, and I hope that you believe, and I hope that you will take the time to listen to the presentation. We are going to take questions, but I need them in writing, or we're going to have to do them in public comments, and they're going to respond to all of your questions at another time because they have to leave. So I don't want to hold this up. I'm going to turn it over to them and thank them for coming.
Is my green light on? Can y'all hear me okay? I can never tell because I'm naturally just a little louder. I kind of don't need one. But Jeff, thank you. And also thank you to everybody who has taken the time out of their week this week to meet with us. When Paradise was hired and brought on back in November of 2019, every time we come here, we meet with stakeholders. We meet with shop owners, CAPC board members, we meet with restaurateurs, we meet with GMs of hotels, and we meet with your everyday Joe. The last few days, if you combine all of those trips, we've met with more people in the last few days than all of those combined. And we have heard you, we have listened to you, we understand that there are a lot of questions, and I want to answer every single one of them for you. Of course, like Jeff mentioned, today we're going to give our presentation. I will tell you this presentation has evolved because of all the meetings that we've had. We've actually kind of tweaked it a little bit to address some of the questions and concerns that we've seen universally across pretty much all the meetings that we've had. The next meeting, hopefully at the marketing workshop, we're hoping to go a little bit more in depth into the actual plan itself. We're going to do high level today, high level brushstrokes on what our targeting is, what our campaign is, what messaging we're going to, what we're doing in public relations and so forth. But the actual drill down into the advertising media plan and the details of the public relations and details for the upcoming photo and video shoots we're looking to do. We're hopefully going to be providing that update at the next one. But again, high level here, we are open books, we are extremely transparent, and we pride ourselves on that. And that is something I believe that truly sets Paradise apart from other agencies. You ask us where a penny went, I will tell you, and I'll explain why. So again, open books. Next slide, please. So I want to give a little background on Paradise. Paradise Advertising and Marketing is a full-service advertising and marketing agency that specializes in destination marketing. We do have about 26 clients. Majority of those are destinations, which I'll show you about a little bit, or something that has to do with hospitality, like attractions, or like a museum, or something in that nature. Majority of what we do is to generate tourism and interest into a destination. The owners of our company, Barbara and Tony Karasik, by the way, they wish they could be here, but trusted Sarah and I to get the job done. Barbara and Tony Karasik, they've got an incredible background, and they've really taken our agency to new volumes. Barbara's background, she's worked for SeaWorld Global Entertainment, she's worked with NASCAR, PGA, U.S. Olympic Committee, I mean, the list goes on. Her background is incredible, and she's really brought in her background and expertise to every single one of our clients. She may not be here, but I can promise you she is touching your account.
They're actually all watching.
Yeah, they're all watching, so hi guys, don't judge. Again, and then we've got 34 employees, and those employees are pretty much in Florida. Our headquarters is in St. Petersburg. We do have employees, about 5 or 6 of them are in Northeast Florida in the Jacksonville area, and then we have a handful down in Southwest Florida in the Naples-Marco Island area. Next slide, please. Here are some of the tourism-related clients that we have right now. Again, this isn't all of them, this is just a handful, but we are working with Shreveport, we work with Little Rock, we work with obviously Eureka Springs, Naples, Savannah, the list can go on, but these are some that I wanted to highlight. We obviously work with others that aren't necessarily DMOs, but work very closely with DMOs, like attractions, like zoos, aquariums, piers. So this is just a handful, and there's some hotels up there as well. Next slide, please. I mentioned earlier that we are a full-service agency. What does that mean? Well, we've got about 34 employees that pretty much have various specialties. We do everything from branding, strategic planning, and strategic planning is a lot bigger, I think, than a lot of people really understand. We do advertising, we do public relations, we do social media, we do website design development. I mean, the list goes on. We do shoots, we've got our own in-house studio, and pretty much all of that under one house. Well, technically, we're all working remotely, so not in one house anymore, but we are virtual. Next slide, please. When you look at our strategic approach, you may just hire us for one service or another, but we don't look at it that way. We have to truly understand the big picture and all sides of the marketing mix, and that's what we take into consideration, because say you just hired us for social media. Well, we need to make sure that our social media is in line with every other thing that you're doing. We take a look at what your brand strategy is. We take a look at all of your creative and digital platforms, your public relations, social media, your advertising, and of course, any and all data we can get our hands on, which I think I've made very clear to those who have met with us over the course of the last few days. I mean, anything, analytics, reporting, we have to take into the mix. So if y'all do have analytics and reports that you would love to confidentially share with us, I will welcome it. Next slide, please. I want to talk about a little bit of our scope of service. It has evolved since we first started working with you. And our contract technically started in January of 2020. At that time, we were hired specifically for branding, advertising, outside of a 2-hour radius. We do not handle your regional marketing or advertising. Springfield is the closest market that we actually advertise to, and the goal is to get heads in beds and butts in seats. That is our goal. Also, we came up with a brand new creative campaign. That positioning, which some of you may or may not have seen, if you've seen it in market, we're not doing our job, by the way, so if you see an ad in the market, we've not done it. You should not see our ads in market, okay? We will get into the markets that we are showing your ads to momentarily. Next slide, please. In 2021, we are still obviously doing branding. Branding is a constant evolution. We are constantly evolving all of your touch points. Strategic planning, huge. We're doing it every day. We're doing a lot of it while we're here. Advertising, paid media, again, still not doing regional. Creative services, video and photo shoots, we've got 2 of those coming up. I'll get into those a little more in depth at the next meeting. And then we actually have added into the mix national public relations services, which we're going to talk about a little bit from here. Next slide, please. So 2021 marketing goals. So we explained our scope of service. We're going to get into the goals. Overnight stays among targeted visitor groups. Okay, so we're targeting select groups based on data and analytics that we have available, and we've identified as the most opportunistic, actually, you should say. We want to drive midweek and extended stays. When we first came on board, your average stay was like 2.4 nights. Our ultimate goal, and this is again pre-COVID, was to drive it to 3 nights. COVID has derailed that a little bit in our plans, but that is still one of our goals, and we do have some strategies in place coming up that we're hoping will help with that. Increase bed tax and restaurant tax collections. Overall in-market spend and economic impact. The more people we drive to this destination, the more people they're going to eat here. They're going to spend money in your shops. Hopefully, overall, stimulate the economy in a positive way. And then, of course, incredibly important is raise awareness of your brand, Eureka Springs. We have just rolled out, as you know, the new brand identity and new positioning, and many people in these markets we're targeting, they know of Eureka Springs, but do they truly know Eureka Springs? That's the question. We are trying to make sure that they do, because the previous identity, we felt, based on our analysis and our audit, didn't accurately represent who you are at your core. Y'all are one of the most unique, y'all are the most unique destination that I have ever personally worked with. And that says a lot. We do this for a living. We work with a number of them, and we have to, visit their competitors. I really had a hard time giving direction and working with our team on how quite to capture the essence of this destination, because it is truly unique. I do feel like the Curious Indeed platform that our Chief Creative Officer and Creative Director and Creative team have come up with truly do capture that essence, and I hope y'all do too. We're going to show you just a handful of those in a little bit of the ads. Next slide, please. So key trends. I could have had like 5 slides on here just on research and trends, but we wanted to really narrow it down to a handful that I thought were the most important with Sarah and our team. And pretty much this extended new normal season, who would have thought in March of last year, how naive were we, to think that this pandemic maybe was going to be gone by the end of the year? Well, here we are, 2021, February, and it's still here, and it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. By now, Americans have established their philosophies and their feelings towards how they're going to live their life during COVID. Whether that's they're not going to travel at all, whether that's, you know what, we're comfortable traveling just a little bit, or hey, I wish I had no masks anytime. Everyone by now has mostly established their feelings and philosophies as it relates to safety and keeping themselves and their loved ones safe during this time. Now, we are continuously following weekly trends. We've got great resources that help provide us data and insights on a weekly basis, and we are continuously following traveler sentiment, consumer media habits, and all of that to make sure that what we're doing for y'all is on strategy and it's relevant at that time to those people. So adventure nature, road trips, new places. They want to discover new places. Since I've been here, I've heard people tell me that they've heard people originally wanted to go to like Italy and like, you know what, no, we're going to go to Eureka Springs instead. New places. People are discovering new places. Less crowds, workcations and schoolcations. There's a good opportunity for this. More people, like ourselves, are working from home. I know not everybody has that luxury, but still a good portion of America is working from home now and have permanently gone to that. There is opportunity there to help drive those people, and maybe they just want to change of scenery. Come, go to Eureka Springs. You can bring your kids, and a lot of them are in virtual school, so they can still have school. Just change of scenery. Get out on the weekend. Do something different. We do have some ideas on how to do that. Nearcations and staycations, so people not traveling as far. Food delivery, takeout, curbside, huge. Budget travel. A lot of people, unfortunately, were negatively impacted from a budget standpoint, and budget travel right now is bigger now more than ever. And expecting the unexpected. This couldn't have been more true for 2020. We are not going to be naive in 2021. We still need to be on our toes at all times, and anything could happen. We need to be able to pivot. In between March 17th, when pretty much the world shut down, and end of April, we developed probably 5 different strategic plans for y'all. Because the sentiment of the traveler and the consumer were changing so much, we had to change. We had media plans in place, we started running ads, we had to stop, change, pivot, new plan. Thankfully, things have leveled out since then, and we have an excellent plan in place that we're actually going to give you the high levels on here in a little bit. Next slide, please. So I'm going to get into some research that we have. This is by no means all of the research we have available. This is just some of it, but I want to touch to show you some of the consistencies and what we use to help drive the strategic decisions that we've made. So this is just Expedia research. So this is based on search data in the fall of 2020. We didn't want to pull the whole year. We just want to focus on fall because the fall traveler, or I should say the fall COVID traveler, is very different than the summer COVID traveler and so forth. So fall. So you'll see everything in bold are the markets that we're targeting and have targeted before. So Dallas, Kansas City, Tulsa, the list goes on. Again, this is just Expedia and this is search data. This is not showing you where people are actually coming from. These are just the markets that are showing interest. Next slide, please. Hand in hand with your Google Analytics from the same time frame. Hand in hand, same markets, pretty much. There's obviously a couple different ones, but for the most part, we're seeing consistency. What Paradise does is we look at a number of different resources we have available to us, whether it's first-party data, third-party data, anecdotal data like we've collected from many of you over the past several trips, and we start to layer it on top of each other to paint a picture of who your traveler is. So that way when we are marketing to them, we know who to market to, when to market, where to market, and how to market, and what to say. And hopefully that recipe is going to set y'all up for success, and I believe it has based on the results that we've seen so far. Next slide, please. Seasonality. This is just based on tax collections in a typical year. This is not your 2020 tax collections. 2020 tax collections for everyone across the world is not an accurate representation of what your typical season is. So while we're not following this to a T, it is important for us to see what your typical seasonality is, your high months, your low months, so that can obviously aid in our planning. Next slide, please. Okay, this is really cool. So AirSage data. So these are your top markets that are driving visitors to the destination. So these are actually people showing up here, where they're coming from. And we have worked with CAPC staff to identify 45 different points of interest that we have geofenced and we can tell if somebody goes to. Ultimately, Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers is by far your number one. Ever since I've started working with you guys, everything indicates that is your number one. We don't market to them because we don't need to. By far, in almost everything I see, that far exceeds almost every other market. We don't need any help from them. However, Tulsa, Kansas City, Springfield, Dallas-Fort Worth, Little Rock. Wow, these markets are sounding familiar. We've got Oklahoma City, Joplin, St. Louis. Obviously, we don't market to all of those. But what you can see that Paradise does is we start to take data points, we start to find the commonalities, and we start to narrow in on where we want to target and the why. So these are where people are actually coming from, not people that are interested, people that are actually showing up. Next slide, please. I'm going to pass it off to Sarah.
For those of you that we didn't meet with in person, my name's Sarah Galen. I am the account director, so I'm the day-to-day contact with the CAPC, and that I am in your destination in terms of working through your destination on a daily basis. So it's nice to meet all you. Going into some of our strategies for 2021, there are several. First and foremost, we really wanted to make sure that we were developing a seasonal, integrated, omni-channel marketing program for you guys. Strategically identifying those target markets. Now more than ever, we have to be maximizing our budgets and spending them as efficiently as possible. So as we look at this, looking at those key markets, we wanted to drill down and look at some of those niche audiences. And so historically, yes, we have always targeted outdoor enthusiasts for you all. Whether that is your ecotourism traveler, your hiker, your paddler, your biker. But this year we found that we're going to hone in on that outdoor mountain biking enthusiast. And that's going to be one of our primary campaign targets coming into Q1 and Q2 for 2021. Also, we want to increase the emphasis on the LGBTQ traveler. This community was among the first demographic to resume travel in 2020, and we're anticipating that continuing into 2021. Within those two niche markets, we have found, and then what we are suggesting is a little bit of a shift here of who we're targeting within those. The Gen X, the Millennials, the Gen Zs, what we're seeing in all travel data is that they are the near-term travelers. So they are more willing to take part in that, let's just go pick up and take a weekend trip kind of traveler, or let's take a random midday week travel. Those are important to us and important to this destination.
I do want to touch on that as well. We were, historically, pre-COVID, we were targeting baby boomers because that seemed to come up in a ton of data, but also what started to come up out of COVID was that your baby boomers are not traveling nearly as much as they were before. So we have pulled that. We did not want to spend money there because we felt there was better lower hanging fruit that we could actually generate some traction on.
Sure. Next slide, please. So as we move into the additional strategies that are equally as important as those on the first slide, we really need to evolve that creative to be more relevant, to be aligned with the consumers that are traveling here, that are looking to travel now in 2021. We want to raise that awareness, of course, always, for lodging options, all lodging options, activities, restaurants, your attractions.
You guys have so many different variety of options and things for people to do. There are so many different travelers that we believe would find Eureka Springs so appealing to them. So many different. And when I mean different, I mean you've got, again, your outdoor enthusiast who really may not care to go downtown, but then you've got, maybe you got a girlfriend getaway trip where they don't care about outdoor, they just want to go downtown, go to the spas.
Obviously that Eureka is a safe destination. We're going to continue to drill that into consumers' minds.
And that's important. That's one of the top things that over research we have continuously seen pop up as their number one concern is their safety.
Is the destination safe? You're right. That annual strategic content plan that's consistent across everything you're doing. So making sure that if we're running a biking ad, you guys, that is consistently promoted throughout the website, through your social media, through your blogs, through the PR pitches and whatnot. That's important. I think a lot of you probably saw that sheet that we shared with you through our meetings. It's going to be a big one to make sure that we're all on a cohesive, integrated exposure for your brand. So developing a partner program was also another suggestion that we have spoken about to the CAPC and as well as to many of you. And what does that really mean? So it's a partner program. It's taking all of you who are sitting in this room and making sure that we're communicating efficiently and effectively to you, that your feedback is coming in, that you're being heard, and that we're developing a relationship. And so that really starts on a couple different levels, primarily the CAPC, but we're here as an extension of that team. We're also going to leverage that multimedia influencer. We've added PR into our scope this year, and a lot of that will come into play through that influencer. Next slide, please. If you give me a minute, I am pregnant, so I'm starting to lose air. So I'm going to take a sip of water really quick.
It's okay.
All right. Now we get into some fun stuff. So your creative and messaging, we made the suggestion to continue with the Curious Indeed. It is working. We are seeing great results from the ads that we have been running. However, we're going to continue to incorporate new and relevant content. You must evolve that brand. We're going to promote that spacious outdoor activities that are available. So, like I mentioned before, biking, trail hiking, camping, your water activities. I think over the course of the last 2 days, all of you have said your outdoor activities are vital to this destination, and you've seen it throughout the whole COVID, throughout the last year, really, of people coming here and traveling and sharing with you their feedback.
And of course, this is seasonal. I want to point out, obviously water activities
Sure.
probably being promoted in January is not the best thing, but we are keeping all of this in mind. And as we go into our planning for those shoots, obviously we're trying to capture all of that. So that's what we're touching on.
Sure. Indoor, spacious activities, when appropriate,
When
obviously. Making sure that we're highlighting the arts and the culture, your breweries, your shopping. Those are all equally as important. And like Kristen said, in the seasons when it's relevant, it's going to be pushed probably a little bit harder.
And I do want to add just one thing here. We understand that your tax collections are generated by
Yes.
restaurants and lodging. We understand that. But people, when they come here, they do more than just eat your food and stay in your restaurants. And, while dining is a huge driver for people who choose destinations, we understand that we have to show them all there is to do while talking to that consumer. So, no, you don't collect taxes based on, people who are going hiking. But people are going to come here for hiking or for your outdoor activities, and they are going to eat in your restaurants, and they are going to stay in your lodging facilities. So
Right.
I just wanted to point that out, that we understand that as an agency, but we do feel it is really important to market the experience of the destination in full.
Yeah, and kind of going into that experience of the destination, you guys are unique. Like we mentioned earlier, it's unlike any other destination I've ever traveled to. And to make sure that we really draw that into the ads and make sure that we are delivering that message that you're unique, you've got a very diverse array of offerings, but it's unique. It's that curious. It's that Curious Indeed campaign. That's the whole premises behind it. So I will mention, as far as dining goes, obviously locally established restaurants are important, but also making sure that we are highlighting the takeout and the curbside is still relevant. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. So next slide, please. Okay, so as Kristen mentioned, listen, we could have spent hours just talking about all the different creative.
And we wanted to.
And we did. We had a hard time taking some things out. This is just a very tiny sliver of some of the creative that we have been running for the past year for you all. And when I say that, these are the assets that we were working with. Many of you have met with us, and we've shared with you that some of these assets were existing that we had to use. But as we move into the coming months, we're going to be here on shoots and developing some new assets. Go. You want to say something?
You go. I'll finish.
But these are just like I said, a couple of banner ads. We know that they're not huge and blown out, but you can see the concept behind them, the messaging behind them. It's unique. I don't think that many people look at an ad in a magazine or a banner ad on a website and get a true unbiased, those little quotes right there, those are from visitors.
Yeah, our team scoured the internet.
Very cool to me as a
reviews.
marketer. So it's hitting all consumers that we've been targeting at a high level. The click-through rates, I believe, on all of these ads were like 0.17. The industry standard is 0.08, you guys. So you're blowing it out of the water.
That tells us that the message is relevant,
Yep.
it's engaging, and it's doing what it was meant to do. It's resonating with your audience.
They're seeking more information. They're clicking through, and that's just so vital in terms of marketing a destination.
I just want to read I know that some of you, I'm having a hard time actually reading, so I'll read some of these to you. The first one, even the trees are artsy. It feels like you stepped into a painting. Even the architecture's a religious experience. And my favorite one, and most of my team's favorite one, is
It's all of our
nothing
favorite.
makes you happier than walking up a rainbow. Again, these are all quotes either inspired or directly pulled from travelers that have been to the destination. So
I will say, though, after a full belly, after eating at the grotto, walking up those stairs, that is a long hike, you guys, but a beautiful one. Next slide, please.
okay. So earlier, I'm going to take over here. I mentioned earlier all those data sources that we were looking at, and we layered all of that on top of each other to figure out what are the markets that we feel are going to provide the most traction. These are what we are targeting in Q1 and Q2. You'll see, obviously, these are hand in hand with where we are already seeing visitation from and interest from. I do want to point out, a number of you have mentioned test markets. Mm-hmm. Before COVID, Paradise had test markets. Your test markets are markets that we've not necessarily advertised to in the past, but for some reason, we're seeing an uptick in visitation from, or an interest online from, whether it's your social, whether it's your website. We're just seeing these little nuggets of markets pop up. And by little nuggets, I mean Chicago was one, Memphis is one.
Memphis is another, yep.
And pretty much before COVID, we were targeting those. When COVID hit, we had to get really picky and choosy with where we wanted to target to. Chicago was an obvious cut because nobody was flying. And it was a test. We felt that during a pandemic, when we were really trying to watch and be conservative with funds, we need to be conservative with the markets. And so this is where we're targeting. We don't feel that we're out in the open ready to go testing yet, but maybe that's something we can consider again for Q3, Q4. Mm-hmm. Again, we got to evaluate what the state of the world and United States looks like at that time.
We've all written down, Kristen and I have written down the note, and we are definitely going to be taking it back to the team to just start layering in some data and see how it's
And we're going to keep an eye on a few markets that have come to our attention since we've been here and have been on our radar since before. Next slide, please. So the overall audience targeting. Okay, I want to point this out. This is just an overarching targeting. This does not mean like if we're going to go after, your outdoor enthusiast, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to get tweaked slightly, okay? Tweaked. But in general, we are targeting people between the ages of 25 and 54 with a household median income of $75K. primarily families and couples. Of course, if we're going after the LGBTQ community, that's, families and couples as well. That may evolve slightly. And then also for your outdoor enthusiasts, we might focus on, group trips. We know a lot of bikers like to go in groups, on trips. So that could evolve. Interests: outdoor nature, ecotourism, arts, culture, history, culinary, the craft brew scene, you name it, you guys have it all. And so people who are interested in that, we're targeting. Also, in your website, we had up there a list of interests. Those are interests of people that are visiting your website. So everything kind of goes hand in hand. Next slide, please. So target segment, core audience. So we're pretty much breaking down our media approach into 3 different audiences. You've got your core audience, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and then of course the LGBTQ traveler and the outdoor mountain biker. So with your core audience, we are breaking this down into 2 different groups: your resilient traveler and your reluctant traveler. Over the course of the pandemic, these 2 travelers have really emerged and come to the top. There's obviously a group of people that have decided not to travel. Well, obviously they're not up here because we're not targeting them. However, your resilient traveler, these are the people who've decided that they're going to travel. I am a resilient traveler. I am from Florida, and I'm standing in front of you right now.
You often hear them referred to as eager, right?
Yeah,
Eager travelers as
oftentimes
well.
referred to as eager travelers. We have decided that, yes, we are still concerned with the pandemic. We are still highly concerned with safety. However, we are going to modify the way that we travel so that we can still enjoy it and travel. I am actively looking on websites to see where I'm going to go. I am researching new destinations. I am researching, do I want to fly? Do I want to drive? What is it? I am actively searching for travel. I've decided I will travel. Now, we're going to target these, and actually Cindy Marietta, our Director of Integrated Media, hi Cindy, she's going to be at the next meeting getting more in depth on what actual tactics and media partners we are utilizing to hit this group. But on a super high level, we are going to be hitting this group in lower funnel digital media. So again, like when I know if someone is online, well, our media knows, I don't. Our vendors know if someone is online actively searching for hot springs. Well, that's a competitor. They're searching. We're going to hit them with a Eureka Springs ad. We're going to try and redirect them. If we know based on their behaviors online that they're searching, places to go or somewhere in Arkansas or whatever, we know that. We're tracking that. We're going to hit them with an ad. We're going to hit them with the right messaging. Now, your reluctant traveler, these are people who want to travel, but they're still a little hesitant. They need a little bit more love and coddling. They need a little bit more information to ensure that they feel safe and secure going somewhere. This is where that safety messaging is really going to take into play. So they need more reassurance. So we're going to be targeting them by media that allows for inspirational and informational-based media. So informational-based media, for example, like native ads. Why Eureka Springs is, and I'm making this up right now, but why Eureka Springs is a safe destination to travel to. That's a native ad. They click on that, they go to it, and they're sent to a blog on your website that has all the information that could make them feel more secure. Another one could be email, that we send them an email and it talks about like why they should travel to Eureka Springs, and we're really trying to inspire them to help them move the needle to choose Eureka Springs. Next slide, please. Okay, so targeting consumers, now we're not going to get into depth here, but again, the LGBTQ traveler and the outdoor enthusiast with emphasis on mountain bikers. Next slide, please. Okay, so our paid campaign, drum roll. Campaign is going to start March 1. Our paid media campaign, advertising, will start March 1. It's going to run through June 20th. We're trying to impact March through July. Q3 and Q4, we don't have dates for those because we are not planning for Q3, Q4 yet. Historically, we approach, and this is pre-COVID, we approach planning on an annual basis. We will map out, what your spring looks like, what your summer looks like, what your fall, your winter. We'll map out, okay, here's your weddings plan for the year. We map it all out. Well, things are changing so rapidly, we just didn't think that it was the best move to plan out the entire year because guess what? Things could change in a week from now. Things could change in 3 weeks from now. So closer into Q2, probably end of Q2, middle beginning of Q2, I'll say that we will start the actual internal discussions planning, but from now until then, as Sarah mentioned earlier, we've already pretty much started. That's what her and I are responsible for, so.
And I'll add to that just so that you all know, of at least my tourism clients, we're all in this same rhythm of we are planning for Q1, Q2 only. And we will reevaluate based on those 2 quarters and then plan for the rest of the year. So many tourism destinations are doing this exact same thing.
Yes.
And it's because we have to, right? We want to ensure that we are delivering the right messaging to those consumers to get them into your destination. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned earlier, we have public relations, national public relations, part of our scope this year. And it's important, our team back in Tara and Jenna, they're probably watching here. We're going to get into those types of details, what those topics are going to be, what are those pitches in the next meeting on March 10th. But just so you guys kind of have an idea, national publications, your Southern Living, your Outside Magazine, Passport, USA Today, New York Times, you get the picture. The national media they'll be pitching to about Eureka Springs, bringing in writers to learn about the destination for themselves. And then hopefully what comes of that is a beautiful article, a BuzzFeed article. I mean, it kind of is endless, but the ability to target that media source with a direct lead to them is important for us and important for the destination. And I think that's when you flip through a magazine and you get kind of stuck on an article about a destination, it inspires people to travel.
Again, this is national,
Sure.
not regional.
Right. Next slide, please. Your partner programs. I kind of briefly mentioned this earlier, and I'll go into a little bit more detail. Like I said, it will also be in more detail on the 10th. But we really want to leverage that owned and earned marketing channel to promote you all, to promote the local businesses that are here day in and day out, contributing to the experience of Eureka Springs. It's a way that we can positively impact your business and form a relationship and form that bond together, you know, and really create a destination that's bigger than itself. We'd like to also create some product development, but that cannot be done without a partner program, without you guys, without the commitment of both of us working together to create that product development. I know that we have recommended some programs that will help us do that will help take some of the legwork off of the CAPC staff, and also that we're able to then promote through different campaigns that we're using. But it all means that we all have to work together. And that partner program is something that we think is vital and that we think is, right now, needs a little bit of work, and there's a lot of opportunity there. So,
And I'm going to repeat you, but
Yeah.
this is because it's critical. The CAPC staff doesn't know what's going on with you guys unless you guys bridge the gap
Sure.
of the communication gap. If you have something going on, if you have an event coming up, if you are going to have a special deal, don't hesitate to reach out and let them know. It's just so important that partners collaborate, work together, so that we're all working towards the same thing.
Yeah.
We all want to impact bottom line. We all want to raise awareness of the destination. We all want to, flourish and prosper together. So if you have something going on, you want to, I'm talking about in the immediate future coming up, and obviously ongoing, but hopefully ongoing, we'll have a more solid program in place. Please don't hesitate to reach out.
and I want to say elaborate a little more on that, is that it's not necessarily just sharing it for the point of the big media campaigns, right? Can it be shared on social? Can it be shared in a blog? Is your listing on the website updated? It's small little things like that can go
make a big
huge
difference.
way and make a huge difference. PR is another big one, that the relationship between all of us is vital to that success. So we're very excited about it. It's, for me, my background and where I came from prior to joining Paradise, I spent a lot of time in that with partnerships from a CVB level. And it can be a beautiful opportunity for a destination. I think you guys have it. It's just communication is going to be key. I think our next slide is the end.
Thank you for your continued partnership.
Yeah. And I think, Kristen, thank you. I just want to say on behalf of Paradise, and Kristen and I being here this week, the transparency and the conversation and the candor between all of us, it was very much so appreciated. It's not often that you get the opportunity to have those one-on-one moments with a large group of people that are so passionate. You guys are so passionate about your destination. It gives me goosebumps. And so we just wanted to say thank you for being and allowing us to come in and being open to hearing what we have to say and letting us be receptive to what you guys had to say. So thank you.
Thank you much.
Ron, you, okay, good. I'd just like to remind you, I know you do have questions, and so please send those to us, okay? We're not trying to avoid questions, we really want to answer them, but we want to make sure we answer everybody's questions. So send those to us, you can send those to me, or really, I think you could send them to any of the commissioners directly. We would make sure that they would get to these guys and so that we can answer them. So appreciate your time. We're going to just take a break here for a few minutes, and then we're going to have our regular meeting. Thank you. It's farther back, but now I realize that it is.
I'm gonna go see something of the ladies on this thing.
We have another side that comes to the farther back and jet from up here.
Sorry, I can see the card. Visitor magazine. Okay. We have an online presence and we can kind of version too. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Samantha Jones, right? Yeah. That was your I thought I heard your name earlier, so sure. Yeah, but I'd love to see if there's something we could maybe do together. I don't know what that would make sense. I don't have business cards. I apologize. I never got mine made. So I just tell people that they know my number. Sure. Well, I'll have Kristen give you hers, and if you want to pass us any information.
You got sonogram pictures, so you.
I'm actually going to write her email on here.
Sure.
She's going to be the person to speak with. Yep. And I am 3 times a week. Well, I sure appreciate that. You have stats and everything we can share.
Wonderful.
With you guys.
And
I know
what
that's important.
I'll probably do for you too is send you and connect you with our media team as well. They do a lot of our vendor and media partner outlets relationship building. And so I'll introduce you to them, but I'm obviously here. Like I said, you contact me whenever. I am the liaison for the account.
Well, we've been really wanting to get some video advertising on our site, and I know you guys are going to have people come in and get some videos, so I feel like it would be just perfect.
Okay.
I'll be in touch with you.
Please do reach out.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure
She's coming right along, baking.
it's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
I haven't.
Flag us down.
I saw you on Zoom.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we're always on
Same
Zoom.
thing.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Okay. Y'all travel safely.
Your phone's in your pocket.
So, Rick, are you going to be in charge of sanitation? Oh, you got a sprayer too. Okay.
Sure.
Enjoyed it very much. Good presentation.
Nice. Thank you.
I'm in touch with you. One of those trips where I like
Oh, I'm just gonna see how it starts. And I was like, oh,
Since I haven't been scandalized yet, I think I'll make it home. My cat will try
Mark.
How is that new cat doing?
How good? Pretty good.
Yeah, but she's still breathing a little bit, a lot better than she was. As much all the legal group off with her. I think it has. You know, it's almost like she offers something. That's good. Yeah, that's good. But I think last time I was talked to her, she was kind of the attorney. It's a lot better situation when her mom was still alive. So.
Now your picture done.
Oh yeah.
I still don't have water.
Well, James came by.
Okay.
That's how it's like when bragging big time on your property.
Yeah, I did some there.
He came and he said all my house was correct. He came, James Wickles came and put that like the noodle stuff. Oh my God.
Oh,
Where that go?
yeah, in theory. But if you go minus 20, you better still gotta worry.
Hope not.
But yeah, we lost 3. Hot tub.
Hi, Jeff.
Very nice.
Very nice hotel. Thank you for allowing me.
I'm glad. It's one of our new ones.
That's just what I hope.
I so can't have last
Did you
night.
were chilling?
Oh, it was great. And it's time to jump.
I wasn't gonna ask. I was gonna wait and let you bring it up.
So I have a change jet, like I think that's and so they're wonderful. But one time,
Oh, yeah. The snow, yeah.
all the shit was coming out of the anyway. So I'm looking for different. So I asked Bill yesterday. I was going to ask you. Y'all think the jet? It feels so embarrassed asking a question, but he reassured me.
We don't want to share hospitality
Okay,
stories.
good.
They're all bad.
I'm good. I don't want to hear it.
See you. Thank you for being here.
Hey, no, I can't wait to come back. I enjoy coming. Oh, I got to say hi to Randy. I got your text messages, but I've been revising presentations. So I'll text you probably tomorrow when I'm at the airport. We're going to get late to Bentonville.
I've got a commission in the morning.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Don.
See you later. So yeah. Thank you. 3, 4, lost 1 in the lot. Which that was actually a blessing because
This was the first, and a lot of this stuff goes over my head, but this made a lot of sense. She's really good.
But that allowed us to identify where the problem was. And got a new line put in. And then
Yeah.
I thought all my types
Yeah. And it answers a lot
still
of
has the
questions.
source of the work. It's nice to see.
Well,
All the gravelly stuff,
oh, I know.
parked up stuff,
You
so
know, they
everything's
just
working.
right.
Oh, I was holding my breath. I said, no, they do a great job. They clean everything up.
well, we do.
High protocols.
No, not that I know. I know. Yeah. How about people who work at No, no, this was fun. I was talking with them at the door, rolling on the street. And she started laughing.
Freezing inside. You know, in that, that's what we were driving to.
Okay.
The good news is nobody was on the road, but there was plenty of people off the road.
So, well, nice crowd. Yeah.
A good story.
Well,
the child.
yeah, we took plenty of pictures.
Yeah.
Do you realize the lengths?
No, there's a few faces I forgot. Some are actually the younger ones. Yeah.
Amanda pushed us way up.
I just met with them, and I didn't know if I was invited home or what she was supposed.
Did you get that today as well?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. You guys. Yeah. And did Harry meet with them? Yeah. Yeah. This may have been very instructive. Yes.
You the only staff person here? I don't know what order to put the slides up in.
Oh, it's okay.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Harry moved away. Got everybody, yeah, because there's one, two. Okay. Yeah, we got everybody.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to the City Advertising and Promotion Commission. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Carol, would you do the roll, please?
Bobby Foster. Here. Harry Myers.
Here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
James DeVito.
Here.
Jeff Carter.
Here.
Patrick Burnett.
Here.
Carol Wright. Here.
Okay, so we have some minutes that we didn't approve that we need to approve. The January 27th minutes. I'd like for you to take a close look at those and turn to new business.
Excuse me, Jeff, I need to add we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Under new business here, under number 2, vacate the seat, there appears to be a mistake. It shows that vote 3-2-1. That vote was 4-2-1. Carol's vote has not been counted. Are you guys seeing that?
Yes.
And so we need to strike the next sentence.
Well, it needs to be corrected. I just want to make sure that no one opposes to the correction, and then we can make a motion. That should be 4-2-1.
Doesn't the chair vote, after, if it has to break a tie?
We can't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, in this case, Carol did vote. Carol voted to break the tie, and that made the fourth vote.
I thought I heard her.
Yeah, so yeah. In here it says roll call. I'll just read this out. The roll call for the vote was Foster, no. Meyer, yes. Green, abstain. DeVito, yes. Carter, yes. Moon, no. But it's not reflecting that Carol also voted, and she voted yes. And that would make it 4-2-1.
Okay.
Is that not how you guys remember it? That's how I remember it.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
So will you please make those corrections in the minutes?
Do we need a first and a second on that?
I don't think we do. We'll make a motion to, if we want to, we could read all the minutes. Are you guys opposed to that, or do you guys want to take a moment just to read them for yourself?
Is that the only change?
That's the only change that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve the change.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And
Thank you.
now you're seeking a motion to approve the 27th minutes, or was that?
Yes, so we need to look at the other minutes now. Carol,
He wants to approve this set first.
Oh, yeah.
Approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the January 27th, 2021 minutes?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we also have the minutes. So we changed, just to kind of clarify, Rick used to do all of our minutes, but now that we have a secretary, which is really kind of how we should function, it's Carol's responsibility to provide us our minutes, and I get that right now we're a little clunky because it's just been, really only had one meeting as me, the chair, and her as the secretary, so we're working through this. We will get more efficient. We'll get stuff out quicker. I have goals to make sure we're providing information on the screen so that our audience can see them, and then of course we're recording now all of our meetings, whether they're workshops or whether they are our actual meetings, so it's much easier for our audience to keep up with what we're doing. So I'm going to give you guys a minute and we'll go over the February 19th minutes, or we can read them. Do you guys have a preference?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the February 19th, 2021 minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we have our public comments. We'd like to open the floor to public comments. Those are limited to 3 minutes. So who would like to go first? Harry, will you keep our clock?
Yeah, let me get it booted up here.
Do we have any public comments? Okay, we have somebody coming.
Good evening.
Please introduce yourself, where you live.
I'm going to, right now, if you'll just give me a second. I've got it. Good evening. My name is Linda McBride. My home is located on Spring Street in Eureka. I am a full-time resident in Eureka Springs, and I vote in Eureka. Chair Carter and Commissioners, I respect the positions that you hold on the CAPC, and I realize your service to the city of Eureka can be personally challenging yet rewarding for our citizens and visitors. I also realize being able to speak before you during public comments is a privilege and not a right, and I do not take lightly the privilege to speak to you. Commissioner Wright's comments about liability insurance, commissioners, at your last workshop gave me great pause. For many reasons, and I am going to address a grave concern I have of your purchasing insurance for yourselves with taxpayer funds for your own benefit. The city carries auto liability insurance on its vehicles because it is required to under law. They carry no other liability insurance. No personal liability insurance should ever be paid for employees by the taxpayers or volunteers. Why should taxpayer funds underwrite your wrongdoing of any official or employee? To purchase liability insurance for yourselves with taxpayer funds is very self-serving, without regard to the city and citizens that you represent on this commission. If each of you need liability insurance, you should buy it for yourself, not taxpayers' money. For myself and others, doing so is a total lack of knowing why you sit on the CAPC Commission, and it's an attitude of entitlement. You, as commissioners, are stewards of tax funds that are to be used for the good of the whole, not a few. If you vote yes, then you are opening up a can of worms to have to provide this for employees all across the city and volunteers across the city. If tonight, item number 9C on your agenda is considered for a vote, I ask you respectfully to vote no. Can you be sued individually? Of course you can. The failure of city commissions and committees in Eureka to follow parliamentary procedure is where the threat of lawsuits come through most of the time. Not following proper procedure to conduct a regular meeting is a lot of where the legal troubles are. Also about your FOIAs. It is against the law not to answer it correctly. Oh, well, I was really getting started. I just had about a half a minute. Anyway, again, I ask you, please vote no if that comes up. Thank you.
Public comments?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bob Moore, and I am the publisher and janitor of Carroll County Newspapers and the lovely County Citizen. And most of you who own your business know exactly what I mean when I say publisher and janitor, because I get to do a little bit of everything, including repairing frozen pipes and cleaning the bathrooms. But today, I want to address you, and I appreciate this opportunity. I want to talk about consumers and travelers have devices today that give them 24/7 ability and access to a virtual sea of information. 3.8 million Google searches occur every minute. Nearly everyone is now a publisher, and herein lies an opportunity. Those that previously made a living distributing content on paper now have the ability and credibility to provide their unique brand and experience online. Where potential visitors are planning their trip before they ever leave home. Things have certainly changed since I started with the Times Echo and the Star Progress back in 1978. I'll celebrate 43 years in this business this May. Back then, we measured the effectiveness of advertising in two different ways: reach and frequency. Reach, the number of people that you put a message in front of, and frequency, just as it implies, the number of times you put it out there. Today, we must include our digital brand. Our digital brand for the Eureka Springs visitor includes our website and other offerings like OPEN. OPEN was a program, it's an acronym, which is Online Partner Engagement Network. And this was a program that we started last year and offered to our visitor accounts to assist marketing efforts after COVID-19 came about. It included a blog article, Instagram post, and Facebook promo on our advertising landing page of our websites. This is just another way that we work to promote Eureka Springs online and welcome visitors to Eureka Springs before they ever leave home. I want to thank you for allowing me to address the Commission tonight, and my purpose and my hope is that you will consider the Eureka Springs visitor as a resource to bring more guests to town in 2021. We look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Okay.
Hello, my name is Brian Wyman. I live at 726 Lazy L Lane. Yep, my street's named that. Welcome to Eureka. Let me start off by saying that I believe that everyone here has the same goal and love for our town that I have. I've been thinking of what to say to this commission for several days. I feel that we need to come to the common goal, and that is the success of our town and citizens, business owners, and city. For years, I've been afraid to address this commission, even though I've had issues and disagreements with it for years, as I am for sure that many of you and others have. I have and know of many others that have been afraid to speak out due to making enemies or the backlash to them of their personal business or themselves. I don't need enemies. I need partners and friends, no matter our differences. I would love to see our personal agendas to be set aside and move with one goal, and that is to make our town successful. We have a great marketing company partnership with Paradise. Met with them multiple times this week. I was thoroughly impressed. They have such things as handling our social media. They even suggested a personal liaison. I feel like there's things that that company does that we are not taking advantage of. And they have success that they have done with their other clients that we could see. I would ask for you guys to revisit our setup and our contract with them and move forward to see if we can't grow and have them do better for us. Also, I feel that when COVID-19 started last year, we were the only CAPC in the state that did not cut back our staff whatsoever. I find this very alarming. It caused issues, as we knew that when we went into the third quarter, CAPC's funds were very low. I think that we need to have a better management of our funds. These are taxpayers' funds, everybody. I think it needs to be reevaluated, redone, rebuilt. I think that opening up things, and we have obviously gotten a lot more people involved and wanting to speak and be involved, which is, as somebody told me once, get involved with your local government and do more. I think that we can move forward, but I ask that these changes happen and that the transparency that started continues. I would also ask, if this is a little difficult, but as a commission you hold a higher seat. And there's been some that comments have been made negative publicly that have made it in a newspaper that have, in my mind, not professional. And I don't know you personally, Carol, but I've had too many things that I've heard, and this is nothing personal, but I ask that you resign and step down from your position. I think it's needed. It's something around town. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other?
Bo Satori, downtown Eureka Springs. Just some thoughts on the presentation we had. I was a little curious about when they showed the graphs of where our money or our people are actually coming from. The big majority of it was the corridor area. But then they're talking about not doing really any advertising within the 2-hour zone. And as far as what's outside the 2-hour zone, that's always been our market. You go back and look in the 80s at an ad agency, it was the same thing. That's never changed, our marketing out that area. What concerned me is with the corridor, which has been growing so much since the 90s. You go there and you go out to a nice restaurant and you've got a server waiting on you, and she'll ask, well, where are you all from? We say, well, we're from Eureka Springs. And you ask them, well, have you been there? And, well, no. And I said, well, how long have you lived in Bentonville? Oh, 6 years. 6 years. And never been to Eureka Springs. There's still plenty of market in that area. So what if we saved a little money from not doing expensive advertising in, say, St. Louis or Dallas, and we tried to step up our advertising in the corridor? What if we doubled the number of people that came to Eureka Springs from the corridor? Because during these COVID times, that's the easiest getaway. A lot of people don't want to make a long drive somewhere because then you're out on the road. I have places I want to go, but I'm waiting for it to all be over. So we might want to reconsider hammering a little bit more on the corridor area, as well as trying to appeal to people from far away, because it's a really different market. I don't have any answers, but we need to look for what will be in the best interest of Eureka as far as our marketing dollar, and exactly how that's broken down. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay.
Ethan Evanzino, Wanderoo Lodge and Gravel Bar, 216 West Van Buren. It has become very clear to me that the true failure in this is the lack of communication from the CAPC, and because of it, Paradise has been vilified because the CAPC hasn't attempted to calm the fire. They've simply let it run wild. After researching more and reflecting on this situation, if my husband spent 50% of our budget on something I never saw, never had any proof of, never got any information about, I would be holding his feet to the fire until he explained the situation. Well, here we are, holding your feet to the fire. The CAPC is who should be communicating the work of Paradise to those paying the CAPC tax, not Paradise communicating to the taxpayers. Unfortunately, because this has been the situation, Paradise has had to come to explain the work that they're doing, and quite frankly, they're doing the work and the job of the CAPC in explaining that work to us. To be honest, from a newcomer's perspective, the CAPC is doing the work of the Chamber of Commerce. Herb Kelleher, the founder of Southwest Airlines, once said, "If we don't change, we die." It is time to change. The ways of the past need to change. The lack of communication needs to change. It's time for the CAPC, the Chamber, and the many other smaller homegrown groups to work together and come up with a solution. The work and effort I have seen from some of these smaller groups varies drastically, or from these groups varies drastically, and the smaller groups are doing a significant amount of work that just blew me away. If these groups don't come together, be vulnerable, address problems, and start working together, we will continue to be the fractured and dysfunctional town we know today. If we don't change, we'll die. And I love this town too much to see it die. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Hello. My name's Morgan. I own Mojo's Records downtown. Along with my girlfriend Blair, we own B-Side Cafe, which is attached to that.
Could you pull the mic down just a touch?
Oh, sure. Little Oompa Loompas can't quite
Thank you.
reach.
That's much better.
There you go. So, as always, I'd like to thank for you guys that are sitting on this committee because it is a time and effort pull for all of us. I'd especially like to thank Kristen and Sarah who showed up from Paradise this week to meet with a myriad of groups of people downtown. I was lucky enough to sit in with them on a couple of meetings, and I think that the overall overwhelming idea that I got from them are that they are capable, smart, intelligent, a wonderful group of people who know what they're doing, and that we should put our full faith behind them because that's what they do well. Me personally, I'm not a data nerd. I'm not analytical at all. That's not what I enjoy. Personal relationships matter a lot more, and I'm a hopeless optimist that each one of your butts in those seats are going to do better than you have in the past, because that's important. I think those of us that are sitting out here want to see something brighter, something a little better. And the folks from Paradise showed up to communicate with us in person, with business owners. They called us stakeholders. We're important. And that's something that we felt was lacking from those of you that sit on that side of the table. They put themselves out. They sat in the hot seat, and they allowed folks to ask uncomfortable questions that they had answers for. And I think that that is part of what each individual does once you sit on a committee like you do. So I encourage you all to maybe try a little bit more to do that. I think their ultimate goal was to prevent the spread of misinformation in our tiny town, which can happen so easily. We have a group of passionate people who may or may not have their facts correct, and we know that your job is to do things correctly. And we hope sincerely that that's what's being done. But to squash the misinformation is important, and to get that out of the way quickly. And so I appreciated their honesty from Paradise, and that they were very much interested in trying to heal the splinters, the fractured community that we have. It was important that they knew that we needed to come together, and that was important for them. I do find it very curious, indeed, as the saying is, that many of your workshops are happening at 2 p.m. on a Friday. That's not when we can be there. So we wish to see you do better, and we wish the best for you.
Okay, thank you. We're still open for public comments if anybody else. If not, we're going to close it. Okay, we'll close public comments. Do we have any agenda updates? Does anybody have anything they need to add to the agenda tonight?
I would like to add a proposal from the Independent on Fund Guide.
Not having the information pertinent to any proposals, could we put that on the agenda for the next meeting so that we could get the information?
Well, it was emailed to everybody, but it was just done today, so I guess.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, okay. We'll just put it on next week.
Okay, so that fails. Any other agenda updates? No? Okay, Rick, would you give us our financial report, please? And again, let me just update everybody. We are working on a process to reorganize this so that the financial updates will be on our screen, so that they're video recorded. I know that may be kind of hard to read. We'll work on that to try to make that presentation better for everyone.
30. Sorry, I'm a little taller. The cash balance as of January 31st was $817,307.59, which I would say is probably the highest amount of money we've ever had in our CAPC account since 1972. Coming off of COVID, I think we did really well. Tax remitted in January, which is December collections, food and beverage, $44,111. down $4,293 or 8.9% from 2020. Lodging, $39,355, up $1,419 or 3.7% from 2020. The total collections, $83,466, was down $2,874 or 3.3%. Year-to-date will be the same because it's a one-month comparison. The 2021 budget comparison, food and beverage was up $9,111 or 26%. Lodging up $9,355 or 31.2%. Total collections up $18,466 or 28.4%. Year-to-date collections is the same number. I would say that those second numbers are compared to our budget. The first numbers are the historical data compared to last year. The second set is compared to our budget. And we did budget light for the first of the year, just knowing that we were still in the COVID crisis and we didn't want to jump out there with overzealous numbers.
Just to clarify that a little bit more, we adjusted our budget in 2020 down, what, a third?
Yes, sir.
So those are comparisons to an adjusted budget for COVID. So that's the distinction between the historical comparison, which would be non-COVID, versus an adjusted budget from 2020.
Right. We were up the first quarter of last year. I think it was like 23%.
Quite a lot.
So, if we start comparing going into the second quarter, these numbers are going to be ridiculous because, we were down 62% in the second quarter. So that's why I'm giving you the historical comparison as well as the budget comparison, just so you know where we're at budget-wise, what we were expecting to do this year, as well as what it was for last year. Of course, the historical data is going to look really crazy once we get into the next few months, but anyway.
Any other questions on that?
No, thank you.
Do we need a motion on that, James?
Motion to approve the financials.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I had a marketing report also, Gina, to give us tonight. She's actually sick and not here. So I would just say that we would scrub that and not have a marketing report. We had a marketing report from Paradise. We'll eventually get one from Gina. I had group sales, but I don't see Karen. Is Karen here? No, okay. So we'll also scrub that and ask Karen to update us at our next meeting. So now it puts us in old business, and I just wanted to start to introduce Patrick Burnett. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes and just let you introduce yourself to the audience. I think most people here know you, but I'll give you, go ahead, just introduce. Let's get to know you a little bit.
Okay. Hi, I'm Patrick Burnett. My wife Stacy and I own Sherwood Court. We've been here since January of 2019, but we've been tourists to Eureka for 25 plus years, fell in love with it, much like some of our friends in town who have a business that they named appropriately because this town has a way of just getting a hold of you, and it just doesn't let go. I told this commission during the process of, I guess you could call it interviewing, that I was a reluctant candidate, but at the same time I feel like that makes me a good candidate and a good commissioner, because my focus here is my love of Eureka and my ability to understand advertising. So it's a business that I've been in for over 27 years before becoming an innkeeper. I speak the language. I had plenty of clients that I dealt with social media, SEO, which is search engine optimization, click-throughs, you'll hear a lot of that, pay-per-clicks, click-throughs. These are the numbers that Paradise is providing us, and this is information that I easily understand, and I hope that I can work as a conduit to not only the public, but also to this commission. So thank you for allowing me to serve. And I look forward to some really good stuff coming from this place, Eureka and the Commission.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for serving. Anybody have any comments to Patrick? I don't want to shut anybody down. Okay.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And so we talked about the potential of our next hire being a tourism director, okay? And Harry, do you have an update? I know it's been really short. That was just Friday because our meetings have gotten kind of messed up. So do you have an update for us on the description?
I have been communicating with the university folks, and as yet, we haven't got a definition out yet.
Okay. So do we want to table that till we get clarification? The reason why I'm putting this on the agenda is because we have to move as quickly as we can to hire a tourism director or define that. And so I just want to make sure we're talking about it every chance we get to not skip any. So do we want to just table it until our next meeting? And
When I met with Kristen and Sarah, they said that they also would be glad to work with us and give us some ideas on what we might need. And I found that really helpful because I think they're understanding where we're planning on going. So I think with Harry's and, but I agree, let's just.
Yes, the folks at Paradise volunteered to help out with those definitions, and so I'm going to be in contact with them too, starting tomorrow, so.
yeah, I had great conversations, obviously, with Paradise, and I felt like that they were encouraging me that hiring a tourism director, someone who's maybe not quite totally an expert on marketing, but understands marketing, but someone who could be the kind of the go-between person who's out with our folks to kind of solve some of our communication problems, some administration. And I think that's what we talked about that we need. And I think that's the direction that we're definitely headed. So I just look forward to trying to get that done as quick as possible so we can get that hiring process. Patrick?
And Harry, I'd be more than happy to help in that regard if you'd like, because of my experience in that business. I kind of understand from what you guys have talked about by being an audience member previously for this position. I feel like I might be able to offer some tips on how that should be written to really flesh it out so that we can make sure we get the right person.
Well, okay.
And you can just reach out however you like.
Would you volunteer to be an interim director until we get somebody hired?
I'm an innkeeper. It takes up all my time.
Well, that's a perfect segue into what we really need to talk about tonight is interim director. Now the commission, I've passed up this little sheet here. These are just my notes that I type up, and I just wanted to share them with you. We can appoint an interim. Obviously, we've done that before. I don't think that worked too great for us. We can be commission-led and operate as a director, and then we would share duties. We could, for example, we could ask someone or appoint someone to oversee marketing. And this is all temporary, right? We're just trying to come up with a temporary fix. Or we could appoint one commissioner or have one commissioner volunteer to act as the interim and then report back. So I just want to open this up to discussion. Just one more thing. We do need to have some executive signers to make sure we're signing contracts legally, to make sure we have somebody that we appoint that can sign stuff, whether it be contracts or estimates or whatever. Discussion?
Well, I'll make a motion to have the chair be the interim signer.
I would do the interim sign part, no problem there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, Rick and I talked, that's kind of appropriate. I would be glad to do that.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. So how do you guys want to operate? Do we want to just operate where I report back to you guys what I can?
Okay.
Do we want to have commissioners help out in areas?
I think as long as there's communication between you and the commissioners, I would hesitate to either appoint somebody or put somebody in a position that might only be for a couple of months. I'd feel comfortable at this time that in your position along with the commission that it's a horrible thing to say, but rule by commission.
Right. It's not an ideal situation.
I mean, if we didn't have Paradise Marketing, I'd
No.
think otherwise, but
Right.
since...
Bobby, thoughts?
I'd like to have it be a joint effort, maybe between Rick and Jeff. I think it needs to be two people.
As executive signers or as interim directing?
As both.
So just to be clear, I don't want to be interim director. I would not accept that position. I will be an executive signer, so whoever can call me, and I'm glad to look over estimates and those things and sign it, but I am not interested, not the chair and being an interim director. That will not work for me personally. So I'm not looking for that position.
So if anybody else wants to step up?
But I think we could do, instead of having an interim, I think that we could do, this is just me thinking. Patrick could maybe help out with communications with Paradise. Maybe somebody could help with communications for budgeting and for our accounting. Maybe then somebody else could help out with group sales or whatever areas that we need. And then we could all report back. We would do it collectively.
Yeah, that's not unknown for Eureka Springs. Once upon a time on city council, we had a liaison to police or fire
Right.
with various other departments, so that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay, is that something you guys want to consider?
I'm down with that.
Okay, who wants to volunteer then?
Well, as far as, some kind of form of a liaison with Paradise, I have no problem doing that. I don't think it would affect my ability to, run the rest of my life. They're awesome people, they offer great information, and I have the unique ability to translate that for any of you on the board.
Yeah.
To really start looking at these numbers, what we're seeing from their data, to keep everybody on the same page as to what it all means. I have no problem doing that.
Okay. Rick, can I ask you a question? Since we don't have a director and you're in the office every day, right? If we were to divide that role up temporarily, very temporarily, between the commissioners, what three parts? We need somebody to communicate with Paradise and report back. What other two parts do we need to make sure we cover on a day-to-day basis to ensure that we're moving forward with our transparency and moving forward with the things that we know we need?
Where we've really been lacking without having a director is the communication with the tax collectors. The setup of the CAPC is we're two different entities, which some people don't understand. I am a tax office employee. I'm not a marketer. I don't do the marketing side. I do the tax collection, try to keep us all out of jail by making sure the audits come out well every year. So I've been interim director twice. I have no
Right.
no field to do that. If you need somebody to just go to the department head meetings at the mayor's office, I've done that many times. I'm willing to sit in and bring information back to you if you need that. I don't have time to go out and visit with collectors, which is what the tourism director would do, because I'm heavy on the finance side. I've got to get the money in, get it accounted. Actually, there's a big misconception. I don't spend money and I don't take it in. I account for it, I account it to you for it, and I account to city council for it. We have a receivables clerk that brings the money in, and we don't deal with cash, so it's not like other issues that we have. We have a check and a form. It goes into the bank from the receivables department. I oversee each one of those deposits, check the deposit slip with that. The director typically does the purchases, signs the contracts with Paradise, or before it was with all the TV stations and all of that. They spend that money. I kept track of the purchase orders to make sure they weren't going over budget. And again, I report back to y'all and to city council on a quarterly basis. But
So I would volunteer just to do communications, like it's just communications, and I would be okay to do that. But if I do that, I would rather not be assigned, do the executive signing at all.
I have no problem with being a liaison with the collectors, and I can go to the department meetings, the mayor's office.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not a big, that's not.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So what else would we need? Do we want to have somebody work with Rick on the accounting side and that, or are we okay there? So we're okay with this. Well, a couple of us will volunteer a little bit of time, help with communications, help with meetings, those kind of things, pick up some slack for Paradise, and we'll start trying to streamline immediately some communications back. Because I said in the meetings, and I heard it over and over and over again, communication, because those of us who've been working with Paradise for the last year, we already were, we were there, and so we just got to make sure these people stay, informed. So.
And I will be glad to meet with tax collectors if Harry's busy, and we've got plenty of them.
Okay. So do we want to make up a motion for that? I know that might be
I move that we approve, Patrick is going to be our liaison with Paradise. Harry and I will work with the tax collectors, with Harry going to department heads. And who is going to be the finance?
And then why don't you, Melissa, how about you be the executive signer? I'm already doing the chair position.
Okay.
I really don't need any more power
Okay.
or responsibility.
All right, I'll do that, with Melissa being the executive signer.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we want to do any discussion? We're okay to vote?
We need to vote, yeah. Oh, discussion.
Yeah, no discussion? We're good? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you guys for that. Board insurance, Rick, I know this has been super short notice, so just tell us what you know so far.
We actually hold two insurance policies. We have a general liability policy through the auditorium, which covers our beer and wine sales, slip and falls, the furniture, the tables, all that kind of stuff. We also have a second policy, which is an advertising agency policy. I talked to our insurance agent. He said most companies don't want to piecemeal parts of city's insurance. However, since we hold a current policy with Philadelphia, which is one of the largest companies, with our liability insurance, he thinks that they would be willing to write directors or executors policy within, it would just be an add-on to that policy. He said right now he's working on all these frozen pipe claims, so it could be a couple of weeks. Maybe in our next meeting I could have a figure for you. He couldn't give me a figure today, but he said it is a possibility to add it to our current policy with Philadelphia. If you so all, once we get the figure and know what it is, I don't have any idea what that number looks like.
Any discussion on that?
Well, I kind of agree with what Ms. McBride said, and it would be us taking tax collected money for our benefit. I still would like you to look into it, and if we want to purchase it individually, I think all of us would like that, right? But I do agree with Ms. McBride on that.
Bobby, I think you had.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Okay.
Just after, my first thought when Carol brought it up was maybe this is something that we had been missing all along that we needed and that we should have had. But now that I've done a little research, it definitely should be, I think, an individual basis that we should pay for ourselves.
I have not done it because I've been, busy on other things, but I'm going to ask the lawyers of the Municipal League what we are covered with. What does the Municipal League cover us for? And
Actually, I got a ruling on that a while back. I'll send it out to you this week. I don't have it handy right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Carol.
Any other discussion on that? So we just want to table that then, and we'll just get the information and we'll have that, because I don't think we feel like we've got all the information that we need yet.
Yeah, just drop it on the next agenda maybe, and I'll keep on top of it.
Okay. I'll wait on Rick to let us know when it's fully available, and then we'll have that discussion again. Okay, so new business. I'm going to read this into the record. I would highly recommend that we not discuss it at this time. On Monday, February the 8th, through the advice of private counsel, I met with Police Chief Young of the Eureka Springs Police Department to discuss the possibility of misconduct within the CAPC. A police report was filed and an investigation is underway. Under the advice of private counsel, I have no further comments at this time, and I would strongly suggest that we not discuss it until the investigation is done. So our next one is our financial audit. I have been approached by quite a few people for us to consider to do a financial audit of the CAPC, and I'm not a bookkeeper accountant person, so I just called an accounting firm to kind of get some advice. If you guys want to do this, we have several options, and maybe I should pass these out.
Well, of course, price is always the first consideration.
Pricing is a consideration.
The other consideration is, what are the accusations? If somebody has an accusation of impropriety or financial misconduct, sure. But if it's just nothing else except somebody's opinion, I'd really question, since the state audits us every year.
I think it's just hard for to say, but there are rumors that I don't understand. I'm not a bookkeeper. I don't understand that stuff. But I'm just going to give you these options, and I will let Rick, if you guys want to hear from Rick. So option one is a general bookkeeping audit would show some inconsistency in the financial statement, but may not necessarily show any fraud. That's an option for us. We could hire a CPA, and we could do a more detailed, agreed-upon procedures and engagement audit, which would potentially reveal more details, but may not necessarily come with the option of what to do next or have the weight as if it were an investigation. And of course, the highest level of audit for us to do, with my very limited understanding of this, is a fraud audit. This has to be done by a CPA who is a fraud examiner and licensed in that field in the state of Arkansas. I just want to bring this to your attention and let you guys decide what's best for us.
I would just say, this is kind of...
Hold on, let me recognize some of the commissioners first. Bobby?
Question for Rick. We are audited every year, correct?
Yes, ma'am, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about this too, and again, it's the lack of transparency or people knowing or being told something wrong, or somebody that I've audited that has an issue with me. But I probably kill 4 trees a year or a month. There's a report produced every month, not a report. We operate by the code of the Arkansas legislation. And that being said, my personal self, I could do all of the finance side of it myself. We wouldn't need a receptionist, but that's not allowed. Duties have to be separated, and that's why I don't take the money in and spend money. But every month, we run a cash receipts journal, an aged receivables journal, a cash disbursements journal, an aged payables balance sheet, trial balance, which shows every single purchase or account balance there is, statement of cash flow, reconciliation summary and reconciliation detail of each bank account. Each one of our bank statements have a front and a back copy of each check, a front and a back copy of each deposit. We run a general ledger and a general journal, both of which are like 40 pages long. These reports are required by state legislative audit every month, and they're produced every month. They're open to the public. We're a municipality. Other than private business tax collections, any of these reports can be looked at any time. They're in our office. I have 5 boxes right now that are ready for the auditors for last year's audit. Sheila, before me, was in the office for 17 years. I've been there 10. We've never been hard written up by an audit ever. There's always supplemental findings in an audit, which are just procedures that they think you should do different. It's not that you've done anything illegal. In fact, just this last year, the auditors themselves made a $10,000 error. They requested I make a correction in my books, the auditor doing our audit, and I did, which threw my receivables $10,000 off. And this goes back 3 years to the 11 every minute write-off. So when I contacted legislative audit and I said, you know, the journal entries that you had me to make screw up my books. She says, well, let me go to the head auditor. Well, her job, according to her head auditor, was to make an entry on their end because the auditors missed that write-off, which was basically it was a discount of that money that was owed that we were never going to collect. So in accounting, everybody makes mistakes. I'm sure I've made mistakes, but we all do our best. And there's a report, an auditor's report that can be ran from my computer at any time that shows every single transaction, if it was changed, who it was changed by. There's only 2 people that can even get in the system, and that's myself and the receivables clerk. And if, say, I entered $100 payment in that Karen missed on a thing, it would show right in there that it's in my name that I did this at this time on this transaction, and there's just nothing to hide. I mean, and like I said, a lot of it's just misinformation that's passed around, personal vendettas, whatever. I have no problem with any audit anytime. I actually like being audited. It's a 4-month process. People say, oh, it's just a legislative audit. It's a 4-month process. It's not just, let's look at a few folders and see what's going on. But I welcome an audit of any kind at any time because I do my job, I mean, the best I can.
Thank you, Rick.
And I've never been written up by the auditors.
So thank you, and if we have any more questions, did you have something, Carol?
Yeah, I was wondering if any of these audits, possibly the last one, would include like an economic impact or I think they call it it's more an ethical audit.
Oh yeah, possibly. I just don't know.
I think that might be something to ask.
And look, let me be clear, we're not accusing anyone of anything, that's not, but we have lots of people with lots of questions about transparency, and maybe that's what it is, we need more transparency, but there's just a lot of kind of doubts, but we're not accusing anyone. I don't know of anything that has happened, so.
Yeah, unless somebody's coming up with an identifiable complaint, I can't justify spending taxpayers' money for something that's done by the state every year.
Yeah. The state auditors are pretty good, and as Rick said, somebody has a problem with heard some complaint, they can FOIA any data. They can get the whole ledger. I mean, I could take a thumb drive down there to Rick, and he could give me the whole year on my thumb drive in Excel and open it up and see anything. So, yeah, we're not going to know which one of the people contributed from their lodging or from their restaurant. We're just going to know the monthly totals, but that's fine. So I don't see any reason for an audit.
Okay, so we want to table that?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that maybe I'd like to make a recommendation that maybe I will just work with Rick to figure out a process that's more just transparent, right? In our financial reporting, maybe every quarter or something, we could do a full financial. I don't know what that would be, Rick, but we could have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I was also going to add, you know, in companies that I've worked with, we We have a policy manual which dictates which reports that I give to you every month. And we're not a business for profit, so the profit and loss that I give you sometimes gets confused with the budget, which is a lot of the same numbers. However, on the one it's budgeted numbers, on the other is direct numbers. Most companies that I've worked for, boards that I've worked for, prefer a trial balance report rather than a P&L, because it shows you every single thing that you paid and what for that month. Every single check that was written, say it was for group travel membership or group travel per diem or, ad buy for Paradise. That may be something we want to look at doing different reports. Our policy manual has these reports in it because at one time, every commissioner wanted to see something in a different way, and we had a stack of reports this tall, and the other commissioners didn't want it, and so we refined it down. I think it was in 2000 and it was back when Ragsdale was the chair, but we refined it down to these reports. My system is very easy to use. I can print you a report for just about anything you want to come up with.
Well, let's just work on a process that,
Okay.
and come up with a schedule. Are you guys okay with that? I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
we need a motion for that. We'll
Yeah.
have discussions. I'll bring it back to the table and say, hey, we've got a plan to bring more transparency, talk more about audits, talk more about money so we can bring confidence in what we're doing.
We had discussed about putting these on capc.biz as well. However, again, I don't do websites. I'm the finance guy, so if we made a page on capc.biz, these reports that you get every month could be put up there so that anybody could just click them from home
Gotcha.
and
Thank you.
read
Did you
them.
have something, James?
Yeah, as far as transparency goes, if you want to compare general sales tax to CAPC sales tax, all the numbers are here in Eureka Springs. You don't have a clue what the general sales tax is because that's all kept in Little Rock. So it's a guess on anybody's part what's going on with general sales tax.
Anybody else? Harry, did you have something?
I think it's a very good idea to put it up on capc.biz.
We can work on that. That's something we can do. Is anybody else comments on this, and we'll move on? Okay. So, as you guys, the commissioners know, I personally filed a complaint with you guys this week. I'm just going to read this into the record.
The complaint wasn't to us. It was, you filed a complaint with you guys. So, no, we're not the target of the complaint.
Correct. That's right. Commissioners, as I mentioned previously in an email this week, it has come to my attention that Gina Rambo attacked me personally through a series of phone calls, messages around town to local merchants, tax collectors, and citizens in the days leading up to the January 27th meeting. It is my belief that these comments and messages sent out were an effort to discredit me, my business, and the work of the commission. These accusations that were made are completely fabricated and false. As the weeks have progressed, I have continued to receive more confirmations that this negative campaign took place. I will cooperate in whatever manner with the commission to provide full transparency to bring this matter to a quick resolution. I appreciate your attention to this issue. It is my belief that this is the type of behavior that is very detrimental to the work of the commission and tourism in Eureka Springs. This is not a time for us to be working against each other, but a time for us to come together as a community for the best benefit of our town. Thank you. The only thing that I...
May I say something?
Sure.
Yes, I believe there has been almost a battle with the commission by people that have worked for the commission. And I can't imagine being an employer, one of my employees going around telling people in town that I'm not doing a very good job for them. Or, you know, I need to be replaced. I think that I think we need a code of conduct for the people that work for the CAPC.
Any other comments? Okay, so the last thing on here is staffing.
I have a comment.
Okay, comment.
I just want to say that it goes both ways.
Sure, absolutely.
that we can't say that an employee can't say something about us, or in turn, it's okay for a commissioner to say something about an employee. It goes both ways.
Sure, thank you.
Under staffing, I'd like to move that we go into executive session to discuss the marketing position currently held by Gina Rambo.
We have a second?
Second.
All four?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Do we want to take a roll vote then, since we have one opposed?
Yeah. Bobby Foster?
No.
Harry?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff?
I don't vote, so.
Oh, sorry. Patrick?
Yes.
And Carol, yes.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go into executive session to discuss Gina Rambo. Executive session is for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, and disciplining or resignation. We'll go into the office like we did last week. Attention, please. We're still in our meeting. So if I could call you guys to order, please. Ron, are we still good? We're still, okay. So Carol made a motion. Carol, will you read your motion, please?
I made a motion that we terminate Gina Rambo.
Second.
I'll second.
Harry with a second. We'll call out for a vote. James?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Bobby?
No.
Patrick?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Our other staffing is Karen.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the position held by Karen Pryor.
I just want to remind everybody, executive session is for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation. We will now go into executive session for Karen Pryor. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting back to order, please. We have a motion.
Yes, I make a motion that we discipline. Rick?
Second.
You want to state the time frame? How many, is that a 30-day, 60-day, what?
Was it 60?
Give them 90 days.
I thought we said 60.
60?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
We'll call for a vote. Bobby?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And Harry?
Yes.
Motion carries. Anything that, just real quick, because I know we're really late, anything for the workshop or agenda, or you guys want to just move on?
Carrie wanted to put the fun guide on.
Fun guide, yes.
And I'd
thank you.
also like a discussion on the visitor's guide, too.
On what?
On the visitor's guide
Okay.
from Citizen.
And insurance.
And the insurance.
I'll keep that in old business. I'll keep the old
Okay.
business.
Okay.
There is the possibility that Paradise, because they would like to maybe give us more information on our next workshop, I'll see if we can fit all that stuff in for the
Okay.
workshop.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss this right mind.
Yes, I asked Gina for a full report, and we'll get that as soon as we can.
And Jeff, if we have time, can we start the discussion of our code of conduct and employees' code of conduct?
Yeah, employees.
Which should include an NDA from here on out.
Okay.
Okay. It's a lot.
It is.
Okay, no more on that. Commissioner comments?
No.
Melissa?
No.
James?
Sure. Since I didn't get my topic on the agenda, I'll waste everybody's time with it again. Each of us that find ourselves on the CAPC, we're dropped into this, and we want to make it work. But sometimes we don't look at the big picture of what the CAPC is all about and what tools we have in our toolbox with the CAPC. In the last 7 years, thanks to mostly Mike Maloney and the commissioners that were on staff at that time, and the staff included, we raised the CAP's budget from $1 million to $1.5 million. I think it's time that we look at the big picture of what the CAPC can do and what the state allows us to do, and that is, while we're sitting here in this auditorium that has no parking, and since we've been discussing parking since 1972 in Eureka Springs, it's a topic that I feel is important to everybody that loves Eureka Springs. I think at this time we need to broaden our view of what we can do as commissioners to ensure the viability of this community going forward into the future. At one time, probably 20-some years ago, we were so close that we had brought the bonding agents in to explain to us what our monthly payments would be and how much we could borrow. And I think we need to start looking in that direction again. That just a couple of items, if we were to take the $200,000 that we allocate to the auditorium for music and the special events director salary, we've got $250,000 already going toward a bond issue there. I've asked Rick to compile how much the CAPC has spent since its inception, and just off the top of my head, I'm thinking $20 to $25 million that we've spent, this commission has spent over the years. And we have a few computers, a few file cabinets, a couple of desks, and some chairs to show for it. We have no tangible assets with all the money that we've spent. There comes a point where we have to rely on Eureka Springs as a known entity that will continue to draw people. We also have to question how effective our advertising dollars are when we bring people to town for a less than pleasant experience. And I don't think anybody that knows Eureka Springs can deny that parking is our number one issue. This auditorium can't be a viable entity until we have parking. Our goal should be to provide a facility that people are falling all over themselves to come in line to rent this facility. We shouldn't be promoters. We shouldn't be putting on concerts. That's for somebody willing to take the risk. But if we provide an auditorium with the facilities to make it a viable entity, we can achieve that goal. So I think at that time, since we have raised $500,000 in our budget, that we need to start looking to the future. We need to establish something for the community, because it's the community at large that allows us to do what we do. What do we give back to the community? Believe it or not, there's people in this community that aren't involved in the tourism business that would like to come downtown and shop in our shops. People from Holiday Island would like to come down and shop in our shops. Why do they not do that? Because we have no parking. So we can continue to spend millions of dollars every year to give a less than pleasant experience to our visitors, who now that other big players, now the corridor is a major player. Branson's always, for the last 40 years, been a pretty big player. We have to recognize the complaints levied against us by our customers and for once deal with them. Thank you.
Can I just ask you, who owns the auditorium? We don't actually own it, right?
The auditorium was given to us by city council. It's you guys' fault.
I didn't vote on that. I never voted on that one. The city owns it, I think.
It's the city is the ultimate owner of everything, but we have been dealt with keeping the lights on.
Carol, do you have
Shame,
comments?
this must have been when you were on.
Patrick, would you like to make a
Just
comment?
briefly, thank you for
Yes, thank you.
everybody sticking out there. Obviously, I got sat in here with trial by fire, so quite something. But
You did great.
I only make decisions based on reason and logic, not anybody else's opinions. I just want everyone to know that that's the kind of person I am, and that's what I will continue to do up here. So, and thank you.
Terry?
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to being the liaison for our collectors, and let's hope that we can keep that connection going so that everyone has input and they know what's going on.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Definitely. Everyone's in favor?
Aye, aye, aye.